Greetings, dear ones. There we are. And now we are live both on Zoom and on Facebook. Excuse me. Greetings, dear ones. It is Friday, November 20th. Here on the East Coast, an absolutely gorgeous day. We've had some very chilly days and some dipping into the 30s and high 20s at night. And it's now just sunny and bright and blue skies, and we're going up into the 60s. So an absolutely perfect day. And as I look out and look around and was walking the labyrinth and really listening to and connecting to the trees in my neighborhood, and some of you who are on Facebook may have seen a post of just a quickie of my street a couple of weeks ago when everything was in just full color and brightness and had dropped in such a way that it was blanketing the area underneath the trees with the colors. So it was magnificent. And now as we look around, and there's many more trees completely without leaves or almost barely any on the tree left. It is another instance, another reminder, another signal of the deathing that occurs during this season. Now, during this season of deathing, it isn't, that's such a taboo subject. It's so difficult for so many of us to talk about, to recognize, to allow for a different type of deathing, which, in multiple circles, there is a way of passing on that allows you to do so consciously. And that is a very beautiful process wherein one is able to interact and speak to, for as long as possible, those that they love, those in their world. And in that conscious crossing, you have so much less emotional fear and regret and sadness as you are processing and saying perhaps that which you would not have said to relatives, healings between and among your loved ones. And it allows for a very different frequency and energy to be able to move on to the next existence, whether you believe that is a more Christian type of heaven and hell, or whether you have, for those of you who've been working with me for many years, know that there are many, many options, many, many existences, many possibilities beyond this particular plane. So when that does happen, if you are leaving at the highest frequency possible, it enables you to have a bit more choice, more options, actually. So seems strange that as we're going into the holiday, perhaps that I am speaking about deathing, but when we have a large portion of the population of this country, um, I mention this country particularly because we are moving into a very significant holiday, a holiday that has always been of people gathering, and yet our science and medical knowledge is at this point in time to not travel, to not gather, given the potential passing on of the virus, and particularly to those that may have some compromise to their immune system due to age, illness, etc. So there is a large percentage of our population who does not believe that this is so, does not believe that this is a powerful and very deadly virus. And they are going to continue to travel and not take the precautions of masks and distancing and washing hands seriously and committedly. And I don't want to believe, but I do. And I see, and all of my information coming from my sources beyond this dimension are talking about a great deal of deathing. And perhaps, again, we see, not perhaps, but definitely we see the wider purpose, the deeper purpose, the sole purpose of this particular challenge that we're having with a virus. Now, again, those of you who have been listening to my work know that I have received information long before this that we are going through an evolutionary process. This pandemic is the perfect vehicle, so to speak, opportunity to be able to radically change our world, change ourselves, and change the world. I have been struck this week by deathing of nature, deathing of trees in particular. I have spent an entire day hearing the cutting and mulching of trees in my neighborhood this week. And those of you who know that I have been an earth steward for many, many years, that trees are a particular expertise or project that I've worked on for many, many years, not only the trees in and around my area and our country, but around the world through the loss, through devastating fires, through deforestation, through the expansion of cities and towns, which have spread out all over the world, decreasing the barrier between wildlife ecosystems and breaking those ecosystems and removing the cushion or the barrier between wildlife and us, which science has shown, again, for many, many years, not only this virus, but many others have come from nature, wildlife, animals that have been part of a broken cycle or a broken circle of life, and therefore create or have a virus that is then transferred to people. This has to cease if we are going to continue as a species. We cannot continue to ravage and pillage nature and do what we will as if it were, that beautiful song in Pocahontas has a line, as if it were a dead thing we can claim. And when people cut down trees in the neighborhood to have larger lawns, or because the leaves are too messy and too much hassle, and or worse still, when they clear cut in order to put up a building. This is not just about the trees. Trees are live beings who are part of an ecosystem in which many other animals, critters, insects, chemicals in the soil continue to move through that cycle of deathing and rebirthing and deathing and birthing. When we cut down, or worse still, clear cut an area, you are not only cutting down those trees, but you are, and I say you because we are all participative until and unless we stand up and say no to not only what goes on in our yard, but what goes on in our neighborhoods and what goes on in our townships or our cities. There are hundreds of beings that are housed in those trees. So when you remove a tree, you are destroying people's beings' homes, their food sources, their ability to procreate. And this is a direct detriment to our physical living on this planet. Not to mention the fact that when those trees are removed for building a building and some trees are put back, they are either decorative trees or trees that have need very little maintenance. And again, non-native, which is attracting in and allowing for more non-native species, be they insects or disease. And when this cycle is broken in our very neighborhoods, our land and the runoff goes into our waters. What is blown from one area to another, and making way for what exactly? Lawns that are absolutely destructive to the biodiversity. They're ecologically destructive with the amount of water that is needed to maintain them, the fertilizers, the weed killers. This is all directly affecting our physical existence, weakening our immune systems. The list goes on and on and on. And this isn't woo-woo. It isn't some crazy person speaking. This is evidenced in all our different disciplines of science. And the fact that science is being sidelined or made unimportant, not only in our country, but around the world. There is disinformation and misinformation in order to divert from the facts and figures of science, which again, it's not perfect. It all can be manipulated. Statistics can adjust the numbers to fit the required needs of either the scientist conducting the study or the money behind it, or simply, the premise is set up in such a way that it will prove what the designer intended. So I'm not saying that science is perfect, but when enough disciplines, a variety of disciplines, are coming up with, in their own field of knowledge, evidence, facts, figures, numbers that reveal that we are at a danger zone, we are at a tipping point, and this deathing of nature and animals and insects and birds and our plants and trees, there is every possibility that we will not be able to continue. The earth will be just fine. She doesn't need us, we need her. So I know that we're moving into this beautiful holiday where it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, um, because of the gathering, because of the family, because of the food. Yes, I do like that menu. And moreover, because of thanks. There is a lot of controversy around it, and we'll be talking about that next week in regard to Thanksgiving and gratitude and the power of gratitude. But um, this week, so many different signals and signs and information has been coming in about deathing. And whether that is the deathing of nature that I've mentioned, we have a huge representative of that destruction of trees with the Rockefeller Center tree. And much has been talked about, much has been said. It's been on all the news sources I've read, Today Show, you know, all the morning shows, etc. Really seeing this tree, many have seen this tree as being scraggly and a clear representation of what this year has been for all of us, with the not lacking apparent beauty. And yet when we look closer at this whole process of cutting down a tree to be able to put it at Rockefeller Center, we are, it so strongly signifies the destruction and the deathing that I'm referring to. This particular tree is a Norway spruce, which obviously is not native to this area, although it has become very, very popular. This tree was in someone's yard who donated it, their yard being pretty much just grass and this tree. And this tree was very, very significant where it was in an area where there are a lot of lawns, a lot of people subjugating nature to their will. And in all of this, we are really looking at an once again a huge use of destruction of nature to be able to make money, essentially. I myself adore going up to New York and Rockefeller Center and seeing the tree, but have always had pangs of great heart pain because that tree was taken from its home, and all of the native animals and critters do not now have the home, the food, etc., that tree represented and gave. And that is one of the huge symbols and teachings of trees, is their givingness. And this tree is sacrificing itself, yes, when we look at it from a soul perspective. But perhaps this year it is sacrificing itself to be one of the last, if not the last, tree that is cut down and used in the name of capitalism. It is a very much has become a money-making scheme, which was born originally out of a beautiful gesture to uplift and to stand for something sweet and beautiful in the time of the Depression. If any of you have seen the photograph, which I actually have in my guest bathroom down here, of the men sitting on a rafter thousands of feet above the ground, the construction workers on the my God, the Empire State Building. And it was in the depths of the Depression, and they all pitched in and bought a 20-foot tree to enliven and to bring some joy. And that tradition has now become simply, or for the most part, a scheme to make money, bring millions of people in who then go and purchase from the stores and restaurants and et cetera around the area. And I'm not wanting to step on the tradition of Christmas by any means, or what a tree represents, but I think we have lost sight of that, and pray that there will come, that this is symbolic this year of the end of the way we treat nature. In all of this, a small owl was caught up in this tree and had to have had an absolutely terrifying trip from however far away it was, a couple hours away, into the city. And when the tree was then opened up, the owl was found and supposedly rescued. And from my perspective, it was not rescued, but instead kidnapped and taken away from its family, from its neighborhood, from its way of life. And again, emblematic of the way we have no feeling for live beings, be it animals, be it trees, be it the land that we dig out of for fossil fuels or mine or whatever it may be. This is an opportunity, this pandemic is an opportunity for all of us to change our ways of life, to change society, to change the species in order for us to evolve and continue. This precious little owl that is going to be let out in the wild again is another representation of our inability to feel for another being. We take it as cute and use it in our news and for a moment of apparent feel-goodness, without feeling for that animal. We have this week also a devastating act to the animal kingdom with the euthanizing, nice way of putting it, millions, I believe the number is 17, somewhere between 17 and 20 million minks, M-I-N-K-S. These are minks that are raised, of course, to make coats and what have you. And there was evidence that they were holding a particular strain of COVID, and out of concern for it being passed to humans, they culled, C-U-L-L, a certain number of minks, but now the concern is that that's not enough. It's not isolated to those particular farms, and the entire country or the entire industry is going to be killing all of those minks. And if you don't believe that you feel that, um, then you are missing the entire point of uh, being a citizen of this planet, in that everything is interconnected. And what happens in Timbuktu or um, Denmark or Brazil is being felt by your body, by your energy field. We turn off the emotional feeling, the physical, the physio-emotional feeling, because we have learned to do so from a very young age. And one of the major gifts of this pandemic is to be able to feel once again, whether it's to feel yourself in these slower times where we have an opportunity to pause and contemplate or meditate and do some introspection as we move into, particularly as we move into winter time, or whether it's to feel once again the family unit and the relationships in that family unit and the extended family, whether it is to feel the devastating loss of life to this virus, and the fact that people can callously do what they want at the cost of others. So this is an opportunity to also feel what surrounds you in nature, the seasons, the plants, the trees, the birds, the animals, the critters that are needed, the insects. Everything has a purpose, just like everyone has a purpose. And they matter. A tree that you cut down does matter. The destruction of entire forests to create towns like the one that this Rockefeller tree comes from. It comes from a town that was born out of the devastation or the elimination of an old growth forest. And this is part of the tipping point that we're heading towards. So I invite you all to really take this opportunity to feel into what is going on inside of you at this point in time, feeling your environment, feel nature, feel the global effects of our actions, are selfish, self-centered, self-focused, self-promoting actions that will ultimately death us if they continue. And that's a bit of a downer, but something must occur to help people in general feel, because that is the avenue, that is the way out. We cannot intellectualize and attempt to control everything through the mind. It is a very limited avenue for humans. Feelings are perpetual. They continue even after death. Certainly in someone feeling the person that crossed over and continuing to have the sensations, whether negative or positive, towards that person. It is still maintained here on the planet, but there are many traditions, if not all, that um, believe that we take those feelings. It's the only thing we take with us are the feelings, the accumulated emotional experiences that we have had here that go with us to continue to teach us and help us and guide us, if you will. Other traditions feel that those very same feelings will determine your karmic destination, but it is the closest thing to spirit. The mind is not. So please let yourself feel things in a different way. We have time over the next week as we go into a slower work week and in preparation for the holiday, and hopefully sometime around that holiday or the weekend thereafter to change traditions instead of making it just simply about purchasing and preparing for a Christmas holiday with more things. Um, really examine and feel into what would create a bonding and a connection that would be everlasting. We have the night sky continues to be very, very prominent. Orion is still very clearly present, again, with his feet towards the earth and shoulders towards the heavens. All the planets in our neighboring solar system were available this week. We have meteor showers continuing. These are our guides. And as the ground gets colder, it may be more difficult to step outside and actually physically put your feet on the ground. But I encourage everyone to do so, as I do all of my clients and those that attend workshops and classes with me. It is so vital for your body, for your energy field, for your spirit, for this reestablishment of connection to the earth and all that is on it and in it for you. So please try to do so. I know we're all out, or many of us are all out walking more, but if you can actually allow yourself to feel the earth rising up to meet you as your feet hit the ground, and let it be more of a lower body experience to see what that does for your physical, emotional, energetic, and spiritual being. And for those of you who are energetically inclined, you may have been again beginning to feel the energetics coming in and beginning to envelop and incorporate all of those that may be listening live or those that will be listening in the future, as energy has no confinement of time and space. So whether you're listening and feeling these energetics at the moment on the 20th of November, or whether you're listening at some point in the future, you will receive, you will benefit, you will be able to drop in very, very deeply into your own system, which is the type of process that I encourage by sitting very firmly on your sits bones, allowing your shoulder blades to just slide down and a little bit together, which enables your skeletal system to take over the holding up of your body. It also opens up your chest and your diaphragm in such a way that it allows more space, more air to come into your system. Again, there is no particular way in which you need to breathe or not breathe. Just notice. Just allow. And again, I always invite those who are participating to say to yourself or out loud, if you're in a setting where that's possible, I am asking and I am allowing my body. I am asking and I am allowing my energy field. I am asking and I am allowing my wider self. I am asking and I am allowing my guides, teachers, and masters, all of which to join me here and now, assisting me, leading me, guiding me down and into my inner world. And as you do so, you will initially feel perhaps your body, your energy field, and you'll also feel your defense system attempting to keep you out of that body, out of that energy field. Its purpose to protect the child within, little knowing that at this point you are an adult and do not need that same protection. And it is down and within that you renew and revitalize the connection to your inner knowledge, your internal compass. For that is the truth of your being. And just as there is a true north on a compass, so too is that innate internal knowledge, your true north. And the deeper you are able to allow yourself to come down into your internal world, the more stability, the more security, the more safety you realize not in a mental way, but in a very physio-energetic way. Thus decreasing anxiety, worry, and fear. For when you are deeply centered, anchored within your internal divinely connected self, the outer circumstances, the outer presentation of the outer world, which appears on that level to be very dangerous, very scary, very confusing, very upsetting, very infuriating, very hurtful. Yet, as and when you allow yourself to drop deeply down and into the one true reality of you, your spiritual reality, and it enables all else to be put in perspective and therefore less effect it has on your internal and emotional solidity, stability, let yourself feel the process of dropping down and in and all the amazing energetics that are here at this point in time to assist and guide, validate, confirm what you feel, know internally. Enabling, permitting, allowing the deathing of those beliefs, perceptions, patterns that are affected by outer circumstances, outer appearances, external cues, external conditions. So when and as you are seated and anchored deeply within your inner world, the knowing that you experience goes far beyond this third dimensional reality. Sinking you ever more deeply into faith and trust of yourself and your own divine true nature. Coming to a clear awareness that all is interconnected, intertwined, interdependent, interrelated. Engendering caring and compassion and feeling for yourself, others, other humans, and feeling for other beings on this planet. Allow yourself to simply, with no effort, no work, no push, no intention, no goal, simply drop your energy field. Your wider self know exactly how to assist you, to guide you, to lead you, not with your mind, but through your sensating systems. the assistance and support of tree beings around the world. From Orion, from Osiris, the Egyptian god, the alpaca has been very present this week. Allowing yourself to feel deeply, not with your mind, but with your body and energy field. Your inner verse. Your internal compass. The knowing deep within. This is true. This is safe. This is secure. For this internal inner world is your divine, everlasting, ever true. Connection to the divine in all things. About another minute here. No doing, no directing, no focusing. Simply allowing the process, your process. Allowing for the consolidation, the integration, the incorporation of your experience, subtle though it may seem, is also very powerfully transformative. As is the process of moving from a less physical experience of yourself back to a more physical experience in the 3D daily consensus reality. For those of you who would like to stay in this space for a while longer, no worries. The integrating and the incorporating of all the energetics that you may or may not be aware of has and will occur no matter at what point you decide to come back, so to speak. And as always, I invite those that are participating, really follow the lead of your energy field and wider self, enabling for a much deeper and wider experience of you as you sit or experience that in between place. in between what may feel like sleep and waking, and what may feel as there versus here. Permit yourselves to just kind of be in that in between. So often, clients, attendees of classes and workshops receive wonderful, intuitive awarenesses or messages, symbols, sounds, shapes, song, song title, story, book, legend, myth, movie, gifting you with information, help, support, validation, confirmation from either your wider self or your guides and teachers and masters. And for those of you who would like to come all the way back at this point, that avenue is also right here, right now. But follow, allow, permit your energy field to do it in the most organic and most ideal way, just for you. For your way is not another's way. It's not a fixed way. It is your way. Just gently and slowly follow. The lead of your energy field, your wider self, and your body. And when and as you are ready, checking in with that internal compass of whether you are ready, not your mind. You will know your eyes will automatically open. And you will want water. And I encourage you to drink water now after an energetic practice, process, whatever you want to refer to this as, and throughout the rest of the day. For despite the apparent short period of time that was a very deep drop in, thanks to all of the helpers here, the energetics that are available, this point in time. You're welcome to revisit this and just listen to or just drop in to the meditation. And if you are not on my mailing list, please email me at andrea@healersuniverse.com for beginning in December in this ideal time of introspection and going within of the winter. I will be beginning a dreaming class, dreaming your life into being, dreaming your world into being. So heads up for that, as well as a group wherein there will be daily updates, quick daily updates of 2 minutes, whether it's through the oils and their message or some other helpers for that day. Good. Please enjoy your weekend, whatever you decide to do. And above all else, I wish you well in all ways. And it is my, again, deepest honor, gratitude, and love for you being on the planet at this time. Take good care. Bye.